Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions, and of course I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back, and these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. And today's new topic I'm going to talk about, it's a whole new section on God consciousness, and I'm just going to talk about everything that I feel like that I've learned so far, right? So I learned a lot of lessons in the church, and I'm actually pretty well read, with the Bible and, those types of teachings, right? But I want to not crush, I know that there's other people that have done this before, right? Where there's no difference because God has made everything, right? So I want to immerse all the topics and stop making boundaries and borders, right? And I want to talk about what it is that God wants from us, what God is doing, who is God, why are we here, what does He want from us, all these questions that we have, right? These are my interpretation, and you guys, so when I talk about different subjects, I'm immersing different teachings, right? Teachings of Jesus Christ, teachings of Gandhi, teachings of Buddha, teachings directly channeled from my guides. So there's the spiritual aspect of this, and that I think that I was missing the whole time. It didn't make sense to me. Is when I actually opened my third eye, had my spiritual awakening, and it's not a pretty process, you guys. But when you start having a connection with the angels and with God directly, the divine, it the topics, you don't need to be well versed in it, and you can have a knowing without knowing, which is a beautiful thing. It's like we have the best computer right here. A lot of us don't understand that your brain can process more than any supercomputer on earth. I just want to let you guys know that. And just because your brain's clogged, and we're only tapping into a portion of our brain, but there's more to our brain than can be explained, right? But so God conscious topics. This is a whole new setup. But get used to this section too. This is a really good section, you guys. I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about different cultures, different teachings. It's not all just Christianity. What do the Catholics believe? What do the Muslims believe? What do the African faiths? I haven't even really dived deep into it, but I know that there's rich soul in each one of our cultures, right? And we all have our own deity or deities. So I want to dive in. How do we know? Let's get to know everything, right? And so, like, if we know everything, we can put pieces together. That's why when we're not separate, we can actually piece it all together and realize, wait a minute, we're talking about the same God. I know I watched this show the other day, and I got some notes here, you guys, that I wanted to talk to you guys about, but I was watching this show, I forget what it's called. Oh, it's Vikings. Have you guys ever seen the show Vikings, where the Ragnar, he is friends with, or he ends up becoming friends with the monk, I guess you want to say, or he's actually he's like, I forget the faith of that day, I guess you want to call. They're not Christians. They may be Christians, but he lived more of like a monk lifestyle, but within religion, and it's the olden days. So so Ragnar ended up like going over, taking or killing all the monks except him, took him with him, and this monk actually got adopted to the Viking ways, right? And what I thought was really interesting is that there was a part where Ragnar tells him, because he's talking about God, the God that Yahweh, right? The God that I resonate with, because I got brought up with that God, right? Which is the Judeo God, right? It comes from Christianity derived from the Jewish religion, right? So check it out. So Ragnar tells this guy, he's like, wait a minute, your God sounds like one of our gods. It's very interesting. And I thought to myself, wow, it doesn't matter what culture you're in. And obviously it's a show, guys, right? But like that, I find like that topic is like true though. Like when we're talking about, and even when you're talking to different cultures with different religions, there's so many similarities, right? So I feel like it's just, we all have the same conscious contact with God. It just God is so versatile. We can't, like, God is only one explanation of it, right? And I believe in my opinion, my humble opinion, is that God is so versatile. Because like I always laugh because I'm like, dude, God's a comedian. Like sometimes when he does stuff to me, or not to me, but for me, or he's telling a joke, or he's got something going on in front of me, I'm like, dude, what the divine comedian right now, man. Like, God, you're so badass. And like, those are the types of things that I have. Those are the conversations that I have with God, you guys. And that's I've talked about this in my other videos, but just know, and this is what I want to talk about. Like, I want you guys to understand that, yes, it is difficult to be in a relationship with someone, that meaning God, when we're being bad to ourselves, right? When we're not working or being righteous. Yeah, you don't want to be in a, like, just think about it like God is a friend that you have. That one that you always say, man, that guy's holier than thou. He don't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 yada, yada. But why are you really saying that about that person? Usually it comes from a place of envy or jealousy. And because you feel like you can't meet up to the standard, or because that person doesn't fit in, right? It's not an easy walk, I can tell you that. You will be ostracized, and the topics go over people's heads, especially in today of what everything is going on, because you guys, we've gone so far away from God consciousness that we've gotten rotten. And you guys think about it, the further away you get away from source, the more distorted you become, right? That goes without saying. It goes with anything on planet Earth. The further you get away from the original energy, it starts vibrating at a different energy, right? It's lower. It's not the pure, authentic, God conscious molecule going on, right? So just look at it like that. But early this morning, which feels like last night, because I am not the greatest riser. I'm like one of those zombies. But all right, so when the message came in, it said, you need blissful faith on faith alone. And I was like, all right. So the message came in and I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? And I was like, all right, so let me check. And obviously it came in with a whole bunch of other messages, but so what does bliss mean? And so I looked up bliss, and bliss means perfect happiness and great joy. And I was like, oh, dude, God, you're such a comedian. I love it. Because I was just talking about this yesterday, right? On my video. And I think, okay, so check this out, you guys. No matter what take you take on this, I believe that everyone, whether you're more of the logical side, which is like I need proof scientifically, or if you are on the faithful side, or however you are, right? It all comes back to the same thing at the end of the day, and that you know that there's something more going on than we can actually explain here, and there is things that we don't know. They say this in AA, and I always laugh about it, because I remember back in the day when I didn't want to get sober, I found holes, and when I didn't want to be faithful anymore to God, I found holes in the Bible. I ate the Bible alive. If you want, look, it depends on where you're at. If you have it in your heart where you don't want to be there, or you don't want to listen to it, by now you would have been off this video. But if you're still struggling, if you're trying, look, it goes back to the law of manifestation, the law of attraction. Or it is manifestation, which is the law of attraction. And so think about it like this. If you are cutting you. It's like you're tripping your feet up, tying your feet up before you even get to walk. So if I was already finding loopholes and trouble with the writings in the big book, which was in Alcoholics Anonymous, or in the Bible, what is that already doing for me? It's cutting me off from source. Look, it's man-made, right? But who made man? God. So look at it like this. Every channel isn't all the way fully there. It gets distorted because it's your interpretation of it. It's like 5 people could get the same message and get a different interpretation of it, but they're all true, right? Because there's half-truths and everything. So, because we don't know the whole story. But if it resonates with you, if what I'm saying resonates with you, that is your truth. But I found it interesting because it actually tore into my heart, because I was like, wow, that's so amazing. How hard is it? And let me read it in a different way. So it said, you need blissful faith on faith alone. So you need perfect happiness on faith and faith alone. Wow, how interesting of a topic. That's really hard to digest, is it not? God is telling me, and then in turn I'm telling you, that you need to be happy and grateful that you have faith. Man, that's a hard one to take down, right? I know it is. It was for me for a long time. But it only gets easier when I realize that I don't have the answers. And that's simple as that. Another great sayings that they have in AA is, not a saying, but I've heard this countless times. And there are elites, or not elites, but really sophisticated people like Socrates, Emerson, that have said similar things, like, and this is how it's said, is that the only thing that I know is that I don't know that I don't know. And that's all I've ever known. And that takes a level of education, a level of knowing of yourself and the world around you. Is that the more you search and the more answers that you try to get, the more that you don't know. It's going to be an endless, because that's God, man. God is infinite. And that's why I said in the beginning, multifaceted. You and I are multifaceted. You're not just, like I said yesterday, you're not just a firefighter. You're not just a police officer. Like me, I'm not just a YouTuber. I have so many faces to my creativity. It's infinite. I don't have to be just a spiritual man or a godly man. Do I take pride in it? Yes, I do. Those things are highlighted because I have a natural not an act, but a natural talent that God has gifted me with for communication. Also, you guys, when I believe in something, it's really easy to sell. Anyone who's sold something, that's what it is, right? And communication too. It's like, it's my life. I'm talking about my life. Of course I believe in it. And you guys, if I could say anything to you guys, is that I've lived a life full of negativity, hatred, everything on the feeling wheel, or the low vibrations, anything that's low vibrational all the way up to high vibrational, right? I felt it all. And I felt it all because people hurt me at a young age, and then they continue to do that throughout my life. But you guys, I'm the one that started living my life in that pain and in that sorrow, and at some point I had to change it. It almost took my life. And I'm telling you, the things that on planet Earth that we think that are going to help us, like for me, was drugs, alcohol, sex, caffeine, nicotine, cheating people, stealing, you name it, right? Those are the things that this platform, without saying, says that it's okay. Subliminally, they tell us that. How could they not? Look at your TV. What do you watch all the time about criminals? If you watched 2 minutes, or maybe give you 5 minutes of the news, you're going to have almost a near panic attack because of the things they're talking about with ease. They're desensitizing you about murder, rape, stealing, be careful, COVID, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Why do you need to hear that? And I see people watching that on a loop all day. They have that playing in the background. All you're doing is subconscious. You're just pushing that shit into the subconscious. Fear-based ideology. Do you want that? Don't do it. But let's get back to positivity, guys. So I'm telling you guys this, is that we need to reshape our mind, right? A lot of the times, like, it's funny too, man. I go back to, because all these concepts are spiritual. And, you know, even in the AA realm, a lot of the times we, like, whatever works for you, right? I noticed that even in cultures like AA, you can, as long as it works, it doesn't matter, right? But what I'm saying is that there's something further beyond it. And that's, they even have that in writings, right? Like, you won't have relief from alcohol or drugs until you have a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening. And so I was like, dude, I want that spiritual awakening. How do I get that? And then so I searched for it. But what they say is that, like, it's contingent on you following that format. But that format is God-given. So it all comes from source at the end of the day. So all of those things are actually spiritual in essence. So you can't change it. They're actually ancient teachings, and they get taught over and over and over again, and they're timeless. There was an actual model for it. But, so going back to it, let's see what we got here. Yeah, so I got a whole bunch of notes. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, so I talked about the distortion. Yeah, the gift that you have. And I think that it needs to be said is that, like, obviously everything comes like, I keep merging all the subjects together, and it's there's no doubt at the fact that God exists. And just because I'm saying God, our creator or source, but I'm going to say God from now on, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Just use your own discernment. Why does that bother us? I shouldn't even have to say anything else. You guys should just know that and not feel abrased or triggered by a statement like that. I'll tell you why you feel that way. It's because what have I explained throughout this video is that you've been trained, you've been programmed, you've already been brainwashed. You do need another brainwashing. It literally needs to be washed away of the toxic pollution that you have been feeding yourself at this point. Because if you're resonating with what I'm saying, if you've listened to it this amount of time, 17 minutes and 50 seconds, oh yeah, you're going to need God. You need the divine. And if you're on planet Earth with everything going around, I'll tell you that you feel uneasy. You will feel unhappy. And why would you not when you're furthest away from God? And everything's taught you that God is unpopular, that you are a simple-minded person if you believe in something like Jesus Christ's teachings, that He died for our sins, and that there's angels, that there's a hierarchy, and we get all those topics mixed up, but we won't believe in those things. But what we will believe in is music. We'll believe in these rap stars who are promoting the devil, and we believe in, like, our television set, which is a program at the end of the day, and we watch it, and it becomes a reality for us. And we don't even realize that we are adopting these principles of being mean girls, of being mean guys, of saying whatever the hell it is on our mind, not watching our tongue, treating people with disrespect constantly. I see it so much. What happened to the time period of when we respected our elders, or respected? There is a fine line between respecting age and respecting your parents, right? Also, there's so many different topics about this, but the further we get away from it, from the God consciousness, the worse it becomes for us. And half of you guys know it. Anyone who has addictions and you're dealing with it, and that's usually what gets muddled. We live half of our life based in the addiction. You wake up and you need the beer, or you need that you need to go shop, or you guys, you can do this in a variety of ways. You can just be so immersed in television, so immersed in reading books, so immersed in all the distractions that are based on this planet, and we never take a look at ourselves. That's what I want you guys to know, is that God is literally yelling for you. He's waiting for you to call. He's waiting for you to ask him for divine guidance. The issue becomes at that point is, once you get the information, how does it evolve from there? Well, one, you're going to have to understand, and it is a process, you guys. It's all a formula. God is ridiculous when it comes to this ish. I'm telling you from a place of experience that it is all a step-by-step process. The spiritual process does it show up a little differently for each person? Yes, because some people see certain things and some people see other things, right? But I'll tell you this, is that if you're still listening right now, believe me that you're on the right path. Keep moving in your faith. Keep moving and be happy and joyous about it. There are many topics now in the spiritual world that are far advanced. They've been here forever, but people are waking up to these far-reaching experiences. And you guys, there's good news, and the good news is this, and I'm going to tell you this, is that having faith in the divine and listening to the divine order, your life will expand, and it will expand in ways that is more than money would ever be able to give to you, more than what alcohol would ever be able to give to you, or whatever your get up is, right? The infinite amount of needing another person, like a relationship. Can you still have those things? Yes. But why have those things and still feel discontented? Don't you want something more out of your life? I know I do. I know I did. And do I have it all figured out? No. You guys, I still struggle with eating. I still struggle with caffeine. I still struggle with watching Netflix. I'm not perfect, but I try every day more and more to get immersed into not only God's word, but listening to the instructions that are given to me. That is so hard, you guys, because we've been programmed from a young age to believe in we want so badly to be independent, and we're so oppositional towards not only authority sometimes, or even parents. At a certain point, you see that, right, as we grow up. And think about it like this, and this is what I wrote down too, is that it's so interesting how we are as people. We grow up thinking that we've gotten smarter or something, and we truly haven't. We're just taking on the lineage of our ancestors before us. You only truly get smart when you have this spiritual awakening and you start speaking with or listening to your guides, to God. And when you do that, you guys, I can promise you that you will start to co-create with the Creator in massive ways, in ways that most men and women will not understand it. And topics, you'll get a fresh take on things. Your life will change, I promise you that. You guys, 16 months ago, I was deaf and mute. I was so immersed in the psychological warfare in my mind. I was so messed up, I couldn't even look people in the eyes. I was downtrodden. I downtrodden myself. It was a mess, you guys. If you saw me, you would not be listening to my videos, I promise you that. Nor could I even operate the phone to make the video. So I'm telling you guys, there is massive change when it happens. God will change your life, and it's from the inside. He can heal you from the inside, and it's a representation of the outside. But it's more than that, you guys. You'll start to reach far-reaching, and you can watch my other videos, right, of spiritual growth. There's a wide, vast knowledge that's it's untapped. And humanity is taught to not look at these things. You know, it's crazy because the things that we resonate with is like superpowers, hero movies, the hero's story. All of that is us, you guys. All of it is a reality. they got that from us. You lived that at one point. We can be that. But because we feel like we're not enough, every one of us feels that on some level, that you're not enough. Well, I'm here to tell you that you are. And and I don't care where you're from, what you're doing. If you adopt certain principles in your life, you will meet with success. Whatever you're looking for, you will find it. I promise you. And it's all in here. It starts with you. It is. You don't need anyone else's help. Does help come when you call for it? Yes, it does. So you won't have to ask. I promise you that. And that's what everything that I try to teach you guys is because my life literally changed. You know what I mean? Am I super rich? No. I've found, you guys, and this is the amazing part, is these moments of blissful peace. And that's all I ever wanted as a kid when it got robbed from me. I have never been in a situation where I've been at just peace and I had somewhere to stay that was just mine. I always felt a nuisance to somebody. But that I know why that was done to me. Because they didn't want me to get to a point of strength with God where I'm going to be able to teach and show love towards to others through my story, through the concepts that are being taught to me. And could you guys, if it happened to me, it can happen to you as well. But there is a formula to it. Watch my other videos, you guys. I promise you guys, I'm not steering you in the wrong direction. And the reason why I love that I'm going to start talking about God more, especially in this section, is that there's nothing without him, her, God. There's nothing without it. And you're going to go around in loops and loops only to find out that one fact, is that there's something above us, there's something more going on, and that until you give absolute utter faith in God, we're not going to get anywhere, and we won't get anywhere as humanity. Look at where we're at right now without God. It's ugly. Look at where we are as a people. Just your culture. I don't know what culture you're in, but so I'm Native American, Mexican, Spaniard. I have so I did a DNA test. I have a little bit of African in me. I have a little bit of Jewish in me. Or yeah, I guess Jewish is what you would say. Asian, 2% or something like that. So look at you guys, we're all mixed anyways. But I can just name one of those cultures that I have and how messed up it is. I'm Native American. Do you think I know anything about my culture? Nope. Why? Oppression. And we all, and I've only spent 3 seconds explaining to you on one of my cultures. Why is that? Because we're not together as people. How could it? How could we? I tell you this, you guys. Look, check it out. And there's a whole different topic, but so being Native American, I'm actually my highest percentage in my blood is Native American, and I don't know anything about it because well, one, and it only has to happen for 2 or 3 generations. But think about it like this. The land in America, so I live in Los Angeles. In America, it wasn't American. It was native. The native people are Native Americans. The Indians, the ones that were in teepees, the ones that didn't need to be colonialized or culturized. These people were oppressed. These other people came from a different continent and came to America, killed, raped, stealed. There is oppression on platforms you can't even understand. Hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression is literally a slow genocide. Most people don't even talk about this. When I grew up, even in our culture, in our economic, or not in our economic culture, but our social teachings of what we learned, I learned that Native Americans are savages. I also learned that these poor people, I didn't hear anything about when actually I guess you want to call Americans came to America, they didn't say any of this stuff. They didn't say that thousands and thousands of people have died, hundreds of thousands of people. How do you go from a people that had like millions of people down to a real small percentage because they've slowly been annexed? Literally, these poor people struggle. They struggle so much. And you guys, even looking at it today, why do you think the government pays them so much money a month? Why do you think that they've literally been pushed into these small lands, squeezed so tightly into these small areas? Why? Because of freaking greed. It all goes down to the one concept that you and I are all trying to get at the end of the day. And for what reason? Do we need to live? Yes. But at what point does it become greed? At what point does it become pride? At what point do you use those powers for your own ability? Are you using it for the good things? You guys, I talked about one of my cultures that I am. I don't speak Native American. I don't even know what Apache, Navajo, Cherokee. I think that I'm Cherokee in Apache. That's all I know, you guys. I've been taught, and I'm too afraid to go to an Indian reservation and ask these people, can you teach me about my culture? That's what's been taught to me. And my great grandma lived on an Arizona reservation. What does that tell us? That you guys, that's my ancestors right there that I don't even know. That's all of our cultures, you guys. And it all goes back to one thing and one thing only. That the only way that we're going to get away from that type of evil, it makes me want to cry, because I know the suffering that all of our cultures receive, like it's a bloody mess. And even the African culture is like, it's sad. It's so sad, and too, it's only 7% of my blood, but I believe that like a rich, soulful culture, like the African people, where they've been robbed and stole in of their own culture. And even some of the people in America don't even know that what their homeland is about, their people, and how they're suffering. And it's deeper than that, you guys. I don't know the whole story, but there's so many topics like this. How are we going to find ourselves in a place where we stop oppressing each other? Because at some point, you guys, if the government if the government's doing it to us, or the elites, you and I are starting to participate in it. We have to be, because we're the ones that are allowing it. We are the power, you guys. And only through God, only through the divine, are we going to be able to get to a place to be a sovereign, united people. That's what we need to be. And I'm telling you guys, you and I have power. We are glorious, infinite human